All right, here with Tony Bindon, the WBC Muay Thai champion. Just all around great martial artist, badass, and really good guy. So, hey, Tony, thanks for coming, and appreciate your time today.
Thank you. It's great to be on and speak to an American. You know, it's different, different crowd, different, person to speak with. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. You know, the British fight scene's really, it's funny. I would say over here in the U.S., you know, it was really, we never really thought about the British fight scene. It was never on TV. It was never, you know, he's never really heard about it. It was always the American fighters, and especially boxing back in the day before MMA got big. Then I don't know what it is, last 10 years or so. I mean, a lot of British fighters getting exposure over here. It's almost like, at least here in the U.S., we always talk about the Beatles invasion. When the Beatles and all these British groups came, it changed the music scene here. And I feel
it's like a lot of people have been sleeping on Brits, and you know, we've had great fighters for years and years and years. Like, you know, thousands of years ago, we had the bare knuckle boxing back here, and you know, it was the backbone of England was bare knuckle fighting. So yeah, and I think as the years have gone on and the sports evolved, and there's been more, you know, coaches have gone and got more experience in other places, and fighters travel to other places. It's just evolved, and we've got that next generation, and we've evolved with it. And we've always had that badass, you know, fight anyone, anytime. And yeah, it's great to see a lot of Brits doing well. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're like a little historian on your fight scene too. I know you have I mean, you're a long-rooted you're pretty much a lifelong martial artist, correct? I think your dad was a martial artist, and you kind of started that way. If you don't mind, how have you evolved from a kid doing martial arts to now a professional fighter at a high level? How have you seen that evolved over the years?
Yeah, so my father, he was, he trained in lots of martial arts, boxing, you know, traditional kung fu, you know, he'd done kickboxing and Thai boxing. So he'd always trained. I think he started from the age of 14 and loved it, and he still trains now. And my mum was into fitness, you know, she's very fit, and she's into like marathon running. So obviously when I was born, it was very natural that I was always going to be an active child, and martial arts was my calling. You know, as soon as I could walk, my dad was teaching me how to punch and teaching me, you know, how to fight. And yeah, it was just something I absolutely loved. It was something, you know, I'd done other sports, but martial arts was always something I could connect to, not just on a physical side. It was also a mental side that I could really connect to, and I just fell in love with it. And yeah, training every day was always drilled into me that training is everything, and commitment is a lifestyle, not just a sport. And then yeah, I've always been a competitor. I've always been very, very competitive. So that's where it led into the competition side of it, because I wanted to test myself. I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to win. So yeah, I just naturally went to the competitive side.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. Speaking of training, I mean, it's kind of the elephant in the room for everybody right now. I mean, we're all working from home. You know, there's a big, obviously, worldwide quarantine going on right now. How's that affect your training? Because I'm assuming you don't have as many sparring partners. I mean, it's got to kind of interfere with your daily routine, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, no, it has. So when you know, originally lockdown, you know, as we call it in the UK, you know, lockdown happened, it was like, you know, it was just everyone was going like mad, because obviously all the gyms shut straight away. There was no warning. It was just like gyms are shut from tomorrow. Obviously, there was no sort of, we couldn't go and meet anyone outside our own household. So, you know, it was like, oh, damn, I'm not going to be able to spar. I'm not going to be able to hit pads or do any of the things I would do in the gym. So it just went back to basics. So a lot of road work, you know, tons of running. I made like a punch bag out of tires. I bolted, you know, car tires together as a punch bag. So I put that in my garage. And I've got a lot of sort of old school conditioning equipment where I would, you know, I'd be working on, and I've just loads of technique work, loads of conditioning. And yeah, so as long as you've got a bit of space, you can train. You know, I can do my shadow boxing, I can do my push-ups, I can do my core work. So yeah, it's been a bit of an eye-opener, because it's gone back to basics, which really it's been a blessing in disguise. You know, I've enjoyed going back to just basics without having to worry about just hitting pads and sparring and fight preparation. It's been good to go back to basics.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear you say that. I've heard a few other people say that as far as how they've adjusted during this. I guess in the U.S. we call it the quarantine, but during the lockdown,
Yeah.
Even strength training, a lot of guys say they're working on forms, kind of slowing everything down at this time because you don't have sparring partners. The gyms here in the U.S., some states, but a lot of us aren't even know the gyms aren't even open yet. So
Yeah.
people can't get their strength training, a lot of the equipment they have. So everyone said, go over the basics, slow it down, work on form. But for you, it's got to be tough, especially as a fighter. I mean, I know you like to be a little more of an aggressive guy. I mean, obviously, like I said, I never compete at your level, but I know sparring is a whole other
Yeah.
animal, and it's got to be hard not to have those sessions.
Oh, it's been really tough. Like I'm itching to fight. I'm at a stage where I'm just like I need to fight, and I'm getting very impatient with it. You know, I want to fight, and I want to get paid with it. So yeah, it's been really really tough. I mean, in the UK, things are starting to lift slightly, so we're able to meet in groups of 5.
Yeah.
So I've been meeting my main sparring partners, and we've been doing a few rounds, but we're not allowed to train for long. We're only allowed to train like an hour at a time and just 5 people. And obviously, a lot of people are out of shape because they haven't continued training, so we can't go as hard, and we can't use the gym. We have to go to an outdoor like open park where to train, so it's not the same. So yeah, it's I'm struggling, but I'm just focused on when quarantine and lockdown ends, I'm going to be ready to jump straight into a fight camp and get right back into competition, because my mentality of winning, that's going to stay the same no matter what. So yeah, I just got to stay strong.
Yeah, and I think I heard you have a fight plan, correct? Or is that not official? Or do you have it once we're out of this whole lockdown? You have a fight ready to go, correct?
So yeah, there's a couple fights ready to go. Nothing's officially
Nothing's official.
confirmed.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
there's no dates or venues sort of confirmed. But there's been talk about certain fights. It's just not hasn't been a date given. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm training like I have got a fight, and I'm just waiting for them to say, right, I'm hoping September, end of August, September would be great. Whether or not it will, I don't know, but I'm going to be ready. I train every day, whether I have a fight or not. I train every single day.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that's what gives me confidence. Doubts removed from action, and when I'm training, that's when I get my confidence, because I know I'm putting in all the hours I can to
Mm.
win. So yeah, as soon as lockdown's finished, I'm sure there'll be a date, and yeah, I'll be ready to go.
Nice. And do you believe in ring rust at all? I mean, I've heard fighters, some believe in it, or nobody admits they believe in it, but some are very, they're very, get very strong opinion that they don't believe in it at all. I mean, do you think that's a factor at all, or no? No concern
I
at
mean, I
all
do
for you?
think it's a big mindset.
Yeah.
Not like before last year, I had a 3-year gap where I had I'd gone down the wrong path, and had a 3-year gap from the fight game because I was suffering with some mental health,
Mm.
depression, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I sorted myself out, and then I got back into competition. So I'd had 3 years away from competition. And obviously, it was in the back of my head about ring rust and that, but I just trained so hard, and I put in all the hours I needed to. On fight night, I was like, I've done it all.
Mm.
I'm going to go out there and perform. And I did. I went out there and I knocked the guy out in the first round. So I do. I believe it's up here. If you put the hours in, it doesn't matter. You can go in and you can perform.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to believe that. I mean, it's again, I've never done anything to your level, but look at, fighters, even people in other sports. I mean, a lot of guys come out day one, after the off season, they're as sharp as they were at the end of the year. So I kind of agree
Yeah,
with that. I think
definitely.
you hear a lot of guys at the highest level always say it's all mental. So if you want to
Yeah.
believe it, it's going to be true. So,
Yeah, 100%. And with the fight game, I truly believe it's 80% mental, 20% physical. A lot of it is the mindset. If you can get your mindset in check, you can accomplish anything. And that's where in the past I've struggled, where my mindset hasn't been as strong, and it's hindered my performance. Whereas when I'm very mentally strong, very mentally on it, my performance has been very, very good, and I've been very happy with it.
yeah. 100%. I don't know if you're a big believer in Tony Robbins. I love listening to his
Yeah,
videos, but he was talking about when
yeah,
he was
yeah. Great fan of him.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, but he was talking. I don't know if you heard the one he was talking about how he was coaching Andre Agassi when Andre Agassi was #1 in the world, and he was talking about how when Andre Agassi fell off, and he said it was the mindset. Tony Robbins, I don't know. He's like, I don't know anything about tennis, but I know people's mindset. And when Andre was #1 in the world, he'd go to the place and he's like, how does this guy dare even show up against me? I mean, nothing but confidence. But you notice when
Yeah.
Andre was slipping, he was worrying about his backhand, he was worrying about his technique, and again, he said, as far as a competitor, it's all about that mindset, just going in there and questioning why this guy would even be in the same ring or the same arena as me.
Yeah,
So I agree with you. Everything I've always heard people, it's a lot in your mindset.
yeah, 100%.
So, so about game planning, do you game plan for specific opponents? I mean, how do you approach? I mean, as far as watching videos, I mean, what's your opinion on game planning for an opponent?
Yeah, so obviously when I have a fight confirmed and I've got my opponent confirmed, for me, I like to focus on myself. So I know what I've got to do to prepare. My coaches will obviously look at the footage. I will do a little bit of research. I'll watch a few fights at the start, but I won't overly watch because I'll get too caught up on what they're doing, whereas the focus is on what I'm doing. If I do what I do good, I will win. So the focus is on what I do. So I train, I'll do everything I can. My coaches will come up with a game plan and they'll talk with me and they say, what do you think? Um, and we'll have a discussion, like that. And yeah, for me, I'm a fighter. I like to go and I like to fight hard, So sometimes my coaches are like, do this. Sometimes I stick to the game plan. Sometimes I don't. If I land a shot and I smell blood, I'm on it.
Yeah.
And that's just how I am. I've always been an aggressive fighter. But obviously, as the fights get harder and harder and the levels go up and up, you do have to be slightly more smarter. And that's when I listen to my coaches and they say, they give me a specific game plan. I'll stick to it the best I can. Obviously, if I land that shot, then yeah, I go for it because that's my strength.
Yeah.
But so yeah, game plans is down to my coaches. They do talk to me with it, and I will say, look, I don't think that will suit me. I don't think that will work, and we'll work through it. And then sometimes I just have to trust them, and I'll go through it. And then I'm like, oh, I feel quite good after a few weeks of drilling certain the game plan or whatever. I start to feel good. So yeah, a big thing is trusting your coaches. Which I'm very lucky to have some great coaches and believe in what they do and just trust the process.
Mm. That's awesome. It's funny. I heard Michael Bisping say almost the exact same thing you said a couple of weeks ago. He'd watch videos early on, and then he wants nothing to do with the videos after that. He said it would start
Yeah,
getting into it. At least how he said it. Start getting to his mind. He wants to see a couple of videos. This is what this guy can do, and then starts
that's it.
focusing
Yeah,
on what he can do himself.
yeah, 100%. Like say, I've studied, and it gives you some sort of anxiety because you're like, you might see him knock everyone out, and yeah, it's good to see what shots they land, but then it's like you get too caught up on what they're going to do and you're like, oh, he does this, he does that, whereas the focus should be on what you're gonna do in there and what you're good at. So yeah, a little bit of studying is good, but then the main focus should be on what you're doing. And it's like a good example was the WBC title that I won, and I was watching my opponent and he was very good with elbows in clinch. So the game plan was to box him early and get him up the fight early. And if I could have watched loads of his fights and gone, shit, his elbows are really deadly. He's going to catch me and he's going to cut me. But, I just watched a few. That was it. And then I listened to my coaches and just trained what I had to do. And then on fight night, it couldn't have gone more perfect. So, yeah, that was a prime example.
Yeah, I think that was the first round knockout, right? Knocked about a minute and a
Yeah,
half.
yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that.
His
Yeah, I
first
saw
round
that fight.
knockout.
Yeah.
And that was the game plan because he, in his fights, my opponent, he would get stronger as the rounds go on, and he had some good elbows. So yeah, the game plan was get him out in the first 3 rounds, get my hands on him early, and put him away, and it paid off. I knew if I landed a shot, it was going to knock him out, and yeah, it did, and I was very happy.
That's awesome, man. That was a great fight. I watched that one.
Thank
Um,
you.
oh, my pleasure, man. Tell me a little bit about how you're transitioning here, because now you're kind of getting into Lethwei. I know some of the BKB or the bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit, maybe the technique differences, how you feel you need to change your game up, and maybe some of the people, because Lethwei, still a lot of people haven't heard about it, and BKB is really just starting to kind of grow here in the U.S. It's never been as
Yeah.
big as it is over in England and overseas. So maybe
Yeah.
explain a little bit on the techniques and how you feel you need to change your game.
Yeah, so obviously both of them being bare knuckle and like now bare knuckle is exploding with BKFC and BKB here in England. It's exploding. People. MMA was the massive new sort of blood sport that everyone wanted to see, and now you've got something bare knuckle, which is just a bit more intriguing. It's bare knuckle for one, so it's bringing a lot of people to watch, which is great. And you got the Lethwei. So the Lethwei is obviously it's bare knuckle Burmese bare knuckle boxing. And it's also known as the art of 9 limbs, whereas Muay Thai, the art of 8 limbs, Lethwei is the art of 9 limbs. And it's from Myanmar, Burma, and you can use the entire body. So you can use strikes of the head, punches, elbows, knees, kicks, clinch, and you can also use takedowns and sweeps. And it's just the most complete stand-up striking form there is, and the most free-form style of fighting, which is, it's very intriguing and very exciting. So I'm very much looking forward to that. With the techniques, with the punches, you have to be a lot more technical with how you punch, because with a boxing glove on, if you just throw a shot, you've got the big padded gloves to protect you. With bare knuckle, you have to be more precise where you hit. If you hit the top of the head, you could do more damage to your hand. Your knuckles, you have to point them in a certain direction. So yeah, there's a lot more to think about. Obviously, defense, there's a lot more head movement and slipping, because you can't just cover up, because the shots will still get in. So yeah, you just have to, it's huge. Yeah, with obviously the BKB, obviously boxing, but bare knuckle. So same again, you have to be more precise with your punches. You have to use a lot more head movement, and you can get cut a lot more. So yeah, you can't just go in hell for leather and think I'll just cover up, because you could get caught easy, or you could get cut. But yeah, I'm really, really excited. My transition hasn't been too bad, because I've always trained boxing alongside Muay Thai. So it's just now transitioning from glove to no gloves, which is obviously a lot of knuckle conditioning, a lot of hand and wrist conditioning. And it's been really enjoyable. It's sort of learning again, so it's been great.
Yeah. How's the acceptance of bare knuckle over in England? So I know here in the US it's very split, because boxing has a big foothold. I mean, boxing, was trying to block MMA for a long time back in the day, and so you see it's a very mixed review over here. A lot of, I guess you call them the boxing purists, don't like the bare knuckle, where a lot of the guys, more of the martial artists, the more MMA first guys, tend to like the bare knuckle. Kind of curious what the impression England is. Is it still a heavy boxing, or people? How do you feel it is over there?
Yeah, so I'd say it's very similar to how it is in the US. It's still very split. You've got some people saying it's very barbaric and, it shouldn't be on. But then you've got a lot of people that are saying, it's great. It's actually safer, because fights, you get a 20-second count instead of an 8 count. Fights can get stopped easier with cuts, and you're not just taking damage on the gloves and on the head for 12 rounds. So it's in England. It's growing in popularity and safety. So in England it's sort of booming. It's great. You get the odd person, but it's growing a lot. You still got boxing and MMA as its main combat sports, but BKB is right behind it, and it's slowly taking over. I mean, they've got pay-per-views in I think 20 different countries or something at the moment. It's they're bringing in a lot of views. So yeah, it's great. It's great to be a part of it as well, because at the moment they do shows at the O2 Arena, which is a big arena in London, and they're moving to Wembley, which is even bigger. So yeah, it's great.
I mean, at least here in the U.S., I think Wembley is the most famous stadium. If you started just polling, Americans, everyone would think of Wembley Stadium. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's it. So next year they're going to book an event there, which will be great. I'm hoping to get on that. So yeah, it'd be it's booming over in England, which is great.
And I imagine that's great for the fighters too, as far as just getting paid more. To be honest with you, better promotions, more pay, and
that's it. Yeah, bigger crowds that come in, more money for the fighters, more pay-per-view numbers for the fighters. So yeah, it's as much they can grow as much as it can. That's even better for the fighters. So I'm always trying to promote the sport. I'm always trying to promote myself. So if I can promote the sport with myself, obviously it's a win-win. That's what I want to do.
Nice. So on your fighting style, like I said, I mean, I've watched some of your fights that's available online. I mean, very exciting. I haven't had an opportunity to see you live yet. If you could pick one fight in your career, and this is a Toby Bindon fight for somebody to watch, which fight jumps out to you?
So, oh God, I've had a lot of wars. I've had some battles, man. Some of them aren't online. I've still got to upload some. I'm trying to get some from the archives and upload it, because there was one boxing fight I had, and it was so fun. I actually lost it, but it was such a battle. It was back and forth, and it was a 7-rounder, and it was so exciting. And I haven't had as many boxing fights, and my opponent had something like 100 boxing fights. He had boxed for many years. He was a great boxer.
Yeah.
And we had a back and forth absolute battle, and that was great. That was a very fun fight. My WBC title fight was great because, I mean, it's only the first round, but I go in and I set my dominance straight away, and I go in and I knock my opponent out to win the WBC gold. So that's a great fight. But yeah, if they just put in Toby Bindon highlights, I've got a highlight reel, and it will show, you know, my fights from when I was like 16, 17 up until the WBC title fight. So yeah, you can see me fighting at something like 60 kilograms, which is around 140 pounds, to
Yeah.
72 kilograms, which is around 155, 160 pounds,
No,
I
I'm
think.
terrible on that, man. It's funny. My wife is she's a naturalized citizen, so she's got the metric system down. I'm sure
Yeah.
everyone knows Americans, we're terrible on that metric system. So I always need to
Yeah, so I was just
translate it
thinking
over.
then, in the UK, we do everything by kilograms.
Yeah.
Obviously in America, it's pounds. So I was just thinking
Yeah.
then, I know what I'm on about.
That's awesome, man. It's funny that the first fight you think of is one you lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this, and because you seem like artist, you're a deep guy, you're a martial artist. It seems like did you just learn a ton from that fight, even though it was a loss, that you just got a lot of experience? Is that why that came up to you? Or it's just funny, you wouldn't hear a guy say a fight that he lost too often as his number one, fight to look at.
Yeah, it's because I have the attitude of, you know, I'm always going to have another fight. So I don't ever dwell on a loss. When I was younger, I mean, I started competing in amateur kickboxing when I was 13, 14. So I'd obviously fought a lot. I'd won a lot. I'd lost a lot. And then when I got into Muay Thai, you know, I won a lot and lost. So I'd learned to deal with losses. And like I always see it as a learn. I mean, I learn the most from my losses.
Hmm.
You know, the ones I win are great. You know, it's a great feeling. And when I lose, it's a very bad feeling. Don't get me wrong, but I look at it. Where can I learn? What can I do to improve? And yeah, that fight that I lost, it was a big learning curve, but it was so fun. I mean, you know, we're there back and forth. You know, he's hitting me with big shots. I'm hitting him with big shots, and it was just one of them fights where it was just a complete dogfight from round 1 to round 7. It was just a dogfight, and we were mauling each other, man. It was yeah. I'd love to fight him again, to be fair, but
Nice.
he's retired. It was his last fight, so
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah.
and he's a great friend now, and he's going to come and help me prepare for future fights.
Yeah.
So we will probably have another scrap behind closed doors. Do you know what I mean? Like a Rocky Apollo
Yeah.
sort
I
of
think.
you know scene. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great fighter, and I'm looking forward to learning with him and sparring with him, helping me prepare for future fights. Definitely.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, I think that's one of the things people who aren't in the martial arts or the fight world don't realize the camaraderie. I mean, how many people are? I mean, you're always going to have your, sorry for you're always going to have your assholes here and there, but in general, most people get along. There's a lot of respect in the world. I know some friends I've taken to shows, they're always in shock at how fighters will be hanging out before shows and after shows. And I think people aren't in the game expect there's a lot more hatred and animosity
Yeah.
than there really is.
Yeah, so like a lot of like new fans or new people come and watch my fight. You know, they're like, "Oh God, you know, do you hate them? Like this person wants to take your head off." And I'm like, to me, I have to fight an opponent. It doesn't matter who it is. It's a business. Yeah, there's hype involved, but at the end of the day, I have an opponent. Cool, that's who it is. That's who I need to take out. So you know, when I'm in there, I'm a fierce competitor. I want to win, so I'm gonna
Mm.
do everything I can when I'm in the ring to win. Everything in those rounds, everything I need to do, I'm going to do to win. And then after the fight, win, lose or draw, I'm going to shake his hand, I'm going to give him a hug, and I'm going to say respect, because at the end of the day, there's two people going in there to battle. And, it's martial arts is all about respect, integrity and honor. So if you lose that side of it, you're just, that's not what it's about at all. It's all the greats, they all show respect, all of them,
Yeah.
because they know, as a martial artist, you have to respect your opponent. You're going to battle with this opponent. You're sharing the ring with this other guy, and you're going to war. You're sharing blood. So he the least he deserves is a handshake and a hug after.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what was it? The old samurais. I think back in the day, those samurai duels. If they killed the other one, they send a note, a letter, and they'd think some
Yeah.
nice pay for certain things for the wife. I mean, it goes back to roots of a lot of respect back in the day.
100%, and that's where you can take a lot from traditional martial arts, because
Mm.
the roots of traditional martial arts. It's so ingrained to it's so ingrained with, like, you must respect your opponent, and you bow before battle and you bow after battle. I mean, that's where you can you can learn a lot from. I'm just going to put my charger on quickly.
Oh yeah, no worries, man.
I just didn't want it to cut off.
It's all good. I guess we'll get close to wrapping up here, but I'm definitely curious. Who do you, as a fan? Well, I guess it's a two-pointed question. As a fan, which fighters do you love to watch? And as a fighter, what fighters do you kind of almost like to mirror their style? I mean, you like maybe their technique that they do, a way they train. So it's kind of a two-headed question there. But who do you like to watch as a fan, and who do you kind of idolize? I don't say idolize, but who do you like to mirror in training or technique?
Yeah, so obviously growing up, I loved a lot of the martial art films when I was very young. Bruce Lee and Jet Li films, and that's what really spurred me on, I'd say. And then as I was getting older, I'd love watching Mike Tyson's fights, because he'd go in and he'd knock his opponents out, within one round, and he's very explosive, and I love that. I love that. I was just drawn to it straight away. And the way I fought and the way I used to spar and stuff was always, go in very hard from the start. Whereas now, I love Jorge Masvidal, game bred. He's
Yeah.
I watch him a lot. I love his style of fighting. Like, he'll fight anyone. Similar to me, I'll fight anyone. So yeah, I love watching him. I love all the guys that go in there and they go in to fight. Nate Diaz and the Diaz brothers in general. The guys that go in and they want to fight and they want to take their opponents out. They're not in there to score. They're in there to fight, and they're in there to cause as much damage as they can. They're the guys I love watching.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and then with me, I'm the same. I want to go in there. Of course, winning is my main thing, but I'm going in there. I'm going in there to win and take my opponent out at all costs.
That's awesome, man. Anything before we get going? Anything you want to promote? Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, that'd be great. So I'd like to thank all my supporters from the War Dog Army. They're great, everywhere from the UK to Burma to US to all over the world. You guys are great. My coaches at Fightworks Academy and Torquay Elite Community Gym, my manager Amir Sebastiak, and my sponsors, which is King Tape, the Governor Sports and Nutrition, Hades Empire, and Riviera Roofing. These guys all support me a lot. So and I always have to thank them, because without my sponsors, I'm not able to do what I can. And I'm also, a very family man. So I'd like to thank my family. I always do in all my interviews, because they're a big reason why I fight. I have two beautiful children, a daughter and a son, and my missus. So yeah, those guys are the reason why I'm so motivated to do well. My two kids are going to be able to say, Dad, you did it one day, and that's it's huge motivation for me.
Awesome. Hey, Tony, I honestly, I appreciate your time. Best of luck, everything. We'll stay in touch, man. I'm excited to see you fight again, and take care and stay safe out there.
100%. And so there's nothing actually confirmed just yet, but 2021, the World Lethwei Championship, which is where I'm contracted to, they are doing an event in Florida. So early 2021. So hopefully I'll be fighting on that card. So I'll be coming over to US soil and fighting Lethwei. So it'd be great to obviously get things going with yourself, as my first American interview. It'd be great to follow that, because that's going to be huge. It's going to explode onto US soil, and it's going to be massive. And I'm definitely wanting to be on that card.
That's exciting. Yeah, if you're there, I'm there, man. So we'll stay in touch, and we'll definitely help promote and get things going for that. That'd be awesome.
Awesome, brother. Thank you for your time. It's been great chatting.
All right, my pleasure, man. Thank you.
Thank you.